Okay, so we're good to get started. Folks, we have Steve Parker from the Villages is going to demonstrate for us tonight. I'll be honest, I don't know what he's going to demonstrate because Rita set it up and I didn't ask. Because I'm happy for anybody to stand up here when I don't have to do it. So, Steve, you're on.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for inviting me up to talk to you guys. I really appreciate it. I've got a lot of stuff to share with you this evening. I've been turning for quite a long time. My third lathe I bought from Don Geiger, which is a robust American beauty, and I guess we figured I probably bought it 15 years ago, something like that. So I have a lot of older things, because I'm not old, but I was young and I had that stuff, which was kind of cool. So my background was, I was the CEO, and I've done 8 startup companies and published a book and done all kinds of things. But in a high pressure job, you need a chance to unwind, and I just fell into wood turning and just loved it. By the time I met Don, all I was making was pens. I figured the name like Parker, I should either become a valet or make pens, so I made pens, because I couldn't drive a manual transmission. So I've probably made over 5,000 pens, with the most expensive ones selling for up to $650 at auction. I donate them to different causes, usually military-related causes. I get into bowls, and I've really enjoyed the bowl journey. I don't know how many bowls I've made. I've made a ton of them. We had hundreds of them in our living room during COVID. Anybody that came within walking distance of our house left with a bowl. My wife was after me to get rid of them. So I really wanted more, so I got into embellishing bowls. And we're going to talk a little bit about embellishment, and we have some examples of things we're going to show you. In addition to my work experience, I was also heavily into martial arts. I had an instructor rating a certain type of martial arts. And so if you look at people that take martial arts, they start off every session when they go to the dojo with doing their original forms, things they learned early on. And I like to do that also with turning, because I think we all can use a refresher. So with our group at the Villages, I always start out with ABCD. Now ABCD, as we know, is anchor, bevel, cut, and the D, depending on if you've mastered fixing something properly onto the chuck, can either mean dance or duck. Because duck, if it leaves the lathe, then it could be a problem. So ABCD, and then the 5 movements of turning, which basically would be, I'll move this way, and I'll use this just as an example, but we can slide the gouge along the wrist, we can push the gouge into the wood, we can rotate the gouge to get more of a bite or more of a cut, and you can raise and lower the handle to engage or disengage the cut as well. And we can swing the handle in the direction that we wish to cut. So those are kind of the basic things, and I hope that, you know, it might be a refresher if you take back one of them and apply it and just remember ABCD. So always have the tool secure against the tool rest before you start to do anything. So I think a lot of us probably began about the same way. We started making things that are round and brown. And I know in my case I wanted more. I wanted something that looked a little bit better. So if we started with the round and brown, then we try to go thinner, because thinner's cool, right? So that shows you tool control, and it shows you, and I don't know if any of this stuff is coming up, I can't see it, but it shows that you're able to, you know, control your tools to produce something that's very, very thin. I always label the back of mine. I have a laser engraver. My wife drew that. It's a robust American beauty, which happens to be my lathe, and that she drew that picture, which is kind of cool. And I always sign everything, because signed pieces are worth at least 50 cents more at a yard sale and a thrift store. So keep that in mind. So that's a reason for signing it. But I started making things thinner, and then I wanted more. So I've spent the last I don't know, 10 years probably, going to Johnson Campbell, going through different classes to try to learn how to make things a little bit prettier. I struggle with it because I'm an engineer first, and then struggle with that whole left brain, right brain thing because it doesn't work well for me. But rather than something was just simply brown and round, adding a little bit of color, adding some burn lines, adding some texture on the bottom, it certainly makes it a lot more interesting. Adding texture to the bottom, adding a bead on top of the burn line is embellishment. So these are things you can do. And feel free to come up and fondle this stuff or pass it around, whatever you want to do so you can get a closer look at it. More advanced, you can make a pineapple texture. This was done with a Robert Sorby texturing tool.
Would you hold it right over the banjo, please?
Over the banjo. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't see it, so I'm sorry about that.
There you go. Turn sideways.
Sideways?
Perfect.
Okay. So this was something that was relatively easy to do with the Robert Sorby texturing tool. It was literally a super quick job. I've made several bowls like this. They're really kind of cool, and it gives it a pineapple type appearance. We have, this is canary wood, which is great. It's super heavy, super colorful. It's beautiful wood. And then adding a little bit of texture to the back made it really pop and look quite nice. And I made it the second one here with a little different on the back. So it really makes a difference. If you have a wooden bowl and you set it someplace, somebody's going to pick it up and flip it over. That's just the way they are. And then if you have something interesting on the bottom, they're going to spend more time looking at it. So it's kind of cool. So embellishment this is an ash bowl. This one has a bead around the rim. And this was burned with MAP gas. The spring growth is very flammable. It burns. It creates a beautiful zebra type pattern. I did not do that on the inside. It's just a very basic bowl, but it really looks nice with that pattern. It makes it super interesting. And then we'll get to the fun stuff. So texturing is kind of cool. I took a course with Graham Priddle at the John C. Campbell School, and we learned about dry brushing and texturing and pyrography and all kinds of things. I was going to bring pyrography tonight, but it's kind of smelly, and I was worried about smoke detectors and things like that, so I did not do that purposefully. So this session is going to be based on the chameleon flakes, which would be things like this. So chameleon flakes, we're going to show you guys how to apply that. This particular piece, and I know I'm moving it, I'm probably causing everybody to get seasick. And if I do something wrong, please tell me. And also, if you guys have questions, please interrupt me. The only bad question is when you don't ask, because someone out there is probably, just like yourself, interested in getting an answer to it. So this has a combination of bird-type texture, texture on the back, spiraling texture. It has a leather bead, 2mm leather bead around the outside. It has a painted inside rim, and the rest of this is chameleon flakes. So we're going to show you guys how to do that tonight. We're actually going to do that on a couple of units tonight. So this has an undercut rim, and this is what we're going to do. When I first started, I felt that this is one of the early units I made, and it's an O-job shape. It's really, a beautiful shape to it. But I felt that I had to get the chameleon flakes over the entire unit, and that was actually a mistake. What I found over time was having more of the black background and fewer flakes actually produced a better product. So that was something that I learned over time. I learned that what I tried to do is use a Fibonacci gauge. Does everybody know what a Fibonacci gauge? You know what the most common use of Fibonacci gauges are today? Women's eyebrows. Seriously, you can buy them on Amazon for next to nothing. They're amazing. It's probably the same size that you could use for most of your turnings. So I taught woodpeckers into making them again, and they made 3 different sizes of Fibonacci gauges, and they're beautiful. Also, Trent Bosch offers them now, which it's a great starting point. The width of the rim, the opening, is not cast in stone. This is up to you as being the artist. This is another one. What I like about a lot of these things is they're kind of cool because they change color depending on the angle. I know I'm moving this, but it can go from all different colors, and we're going to show you guys how to do that tonight. 2mm leather bead. It comes from Amazon. So I'm going to give you the sources for everything if you wish to do this. The chameleon flakes, there's an artist in the UK, Emma Cook, you may have heard of her, she also goes by the Tiny Turner, that's her design. A lot of the other things are from Graham Criddle. I'm not an innovator of designs, in fact I struggle with the artistic thing. I just try to master the technique as best I can. That's it. I had another one, but I didn't bring it, I guess. Okay, so where I start out is I didn't want to spend a lot of time turning. So everything that I do with an expansion chuck. And the reason I do that is so I can put it back on the lathe. I'm not the smoothest painter in the world. So I also finish the product so that if I miss with the paintbrush, I can wipe it off, which is great. So the first thing I do is I turn the shape, which is super easy. You guys, I'm sure, all know how to do that. And then I put a texture on the bottom. I outline the texture with a tool, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So what I've found is this is one of the best tools. I guess it's showing up okay, correct? Okay, cool. So this is a round nose easy wood tool. I'm not a big fan of carbide tools, but this one I like, and it's over 20 years old. It's one of the first ones. It's an ancient one, as you can probably tell. I have the original cutter. Shows you how often I use it, but I sharpen it all the time. And what I do is I sharpen it with a diamond hone, just one of those little credit card sharpeners, and then I go back about 1/16 of an inch and I break the end. I break that sharpness off. And the reason I do that is when I'm coming in to create the slots for me to burn, which I burn with a simple sample of Wilson Art Formica. If I leave that sharp, it makes the edge fuzzy. If I break that edge, it doesn't. I cut on the end, and I don't end up with a fuzzy edge, which is kind of cool. So you need a basic tool, and they last a long time if you sharpen them. I put a half round in the end, and we're going to do that on a couple of these. And I'll show you how we do that. It's pretty simple. I'm going to wear safety glasses, but I'm not going to do any real turning, which is removing shavings. So I did not take my respirator and shield. So starting out, what I found is I haven't found it. Here it is. So this is a Simon Hope tool. And I like.
Pull it back towards you a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit more. A little bit more. There you go. Now.
Okay. So this is the Simon Hope tool. And the person that designed the tool for Robert Sorby, the texturing tool, actually designed this tool for Simon Hope. I like it because it's different. It has rounded off teeth. I find it to be a little bit more forgiving, and it's super easy to use. And when you see how long it takes me to texture this, you'll be like, if you blink, you've missed it. I mean, it's just literally just a couple seconds. We try to run the machine about 400 RPM. You don't want to go real high, you don't want to go real slow. I engage this by getting the tool rest back a bit because I can't hit the, in fact that's a little bit low. I don't want to hit that wheel on the tool rest. So how I do that is I basically turn it at an angle like this, and I use a combination of pulling and pushing. So can we see that now, what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do that real quick and get a spiral here. So it's about 400 RPM. So all I'm doing is I'm going to be pushing in kind of hard, and we'll show you what it looks like in a minute. I'm going to turn it at an angle like this. That's it. And that's a beautiful spiral. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that? So the next step is, and I didn't bring a pencil, but I can probably do it by eye, is I'm going to,
Cancel?
you know what, I can outline the outside. Okay, great. So Rita always comes prepared. I know that Rita is always bailing me out, and Danny Hoffman's. So here I'm going to give it a little bit more speed, and I'm going to move the tool rest. And by the way, you shouldn't be moving the tool rest with the lathe running, unless you've sharpened the tool rest, in which case it doesn't do bad. Okay. Then we take this. This is a special tool. It's very expensive. It's called a free sample, and if you can get one of these at either cabinet supply place. So a lot of people burn with wire. Sometimes Home Depot has them, and Lowe's, they also have them. You can't burn like that with wire. It's just not possible. And then I put a little bit of a groove in the end, which there's a little bit in there now. I'm just going to touch it up just a smidge. And that's just to, that's just for the landing spot for the 2mm leather bead that we're going to put on there. But that's it. So I'll do another one real quick, and then we'll get rolling here.
What is the thing you used? You said it was a free sample. What was it?
It's just a piece of Wilson art. It's Formica Wilson art. It's just a simple free sample. And we can pass it around. If you guys.
Damn.
Okay, here's another one. This is a piece of walnut. So I use the Jerry Glazer screw chuck system here, and it works really well for me. I trust it. It's the steel and the screw is quite good, and it seems to work pretty well. Okay, so here you can see I'm too tight to the wood, and we'll see how this is going to come out, because I don't know how it's going to come out, so we'll all kind of learn together. But getting that angle right is critical. And I go back to about 400 RPM again. Okay. And basically I come in and there we go, another perfect one. So it's pretty simple to do this. And you know, need to be on the inside of that. And don't move the tool rest on the machine running. And unlike Rudy Lopez, I cannot talk when I'm moving the tool. But that's a good. Rudy can talk through it. I don't know how he does it. He's a magician. He's unbelievable. And Rudy helped me move from Tampa to the Villages. He actually moved all my equipment, saw stock, all my power tools, everything. He's an unbelievable friend. Okay, so that's it. That's another perfect one. I'll pass this around. But from here, I would paint this with black gesso, which we'll get into that, and then I would add my texture. It's hard to tell here, but if you look at this straight across, I actually recessed this a little bit so that the texture doesn't sit on the surface you plan to place the final bowl on. And then I'll just put the groove in the end, and then we'll pass this one around too. Don't take long. So the groove that I cut in here is about half the thickness. So it's about 1 millimeter thick. So it's about half the thickness of the leather bead that I plan to use. And we'll pass this around. The rest of this is all kind of boring because you're just hollowing it out. What I do is I make a smaller opening using the Fibonacci gauge. than the outer rim. I'm not trying to get a super thin bowl here, and then I undercut it a little bit, and I'll pass some around to you. So let you guys take a look at those. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so that's the extent of the turning. The rest is going to be to look at the embellishment. So this is one that I made yesterday, and I added, is this still lined up okay? Okay, cool. So I created this image using cup burrs. And cup burrs are something that you can buy from, I think, MDI up in Maine. There's several places sell, many places sell, but you can't use them the way they come from the factory. You have to modify them. And the reason you can't use them is because if you go to apply them to even a flat surface, they're going to walk all over the place. They're amazing. So they're very difficult to use. So what I do is I actually have my grinder, and I have a 320 grit CBN wheel, and I expose the teeth on the cup burr. By doing that, just barely exposing a little bit of it, I'll pass them around, it allows it to bite, stay in place. And what you want to do is, if you don't go deep enough, your little round beads here will have flat ends. You need to go a little deeper to make sure it stays round. And then on this side here, I paint with a gesso, and we'll talk about gesso in a little bit. And this is where I install the embellishing wax, or accent paste. There's a whole bunch of names for it. I usually get most of this stuff from Chromacraft. They're excellent. I highly recommend them. So, okay. So I can, I made this one so I can show you what the accent paste is, and I'll do that in just a little bit. Okay, texturing can involve all different things. So it can just have a minor texture, which this has I did this with an ELF tool, and it's got a very minor texture. You have to look close for it. It almost looks like a hat band. And then this one has a little bit more pronounced. The paints that I use are from Joe Sonia. I highly recommend Joe Sonia. And I also recommend that you use their mediums. So the medium is what is used to thin the paint. For the gesso, you don't have to worry about a medium. You can use water to thin it. But if you use water to thin the other paints, the acrylic paints, you take a lot of the pigment out, and it makes it difficult to cover the area. You have to put 2, 3, 4 coats on, where you can get by with 1 coat if you don't thin it or use a medium to thin it. So the gesso is the first step before you put the chameleon flakes on it. That's what we're going to focus on tonight. And what I do with the gesso, and I just want to show you guys this, is get a small piece of wood like this one. Okay, so this is not a joke. I know I've been known to tell a few jokes during my demo, but
Steve, will you tell me what gesso is? Because I don't think everybody knows. What
okay,
gesso
sure.
is.
Okay, so gesso is like a primer, but it's a toothy primer. So it gets it's easy to put down. You can usually get by with 1 coat. You have to be careful, because on something like the bowls that we've passed around, if it goes on too thick, then when you put the chameleon flakes on, it's going to have all kinds of waves, and it's going to be difficult. This goes on, you want it to go on thin, but you want to have a good cover. So how do you get it thin enough? And I'm going to show you. Does everybody know what wet water is? No, nobody knows wet water. You're going to see wet water. Okay. So if I take this is a pipette, and I take, that's not a clean one. I have a clean one here. This is water from the tap. So if I make a bubble here, okay? What should happen here, actually, this should have built up, and it actually comes up a little bit high. So if I take this one and I go into the wet water, it's going to disperse a whole lot better. And the difference between the wet water, and watch how this just disperses, and it just lays perfectly flat. When I did it at the other club, you could see the bubble here, and this would lay perfectly flat. And this is made with 1% Dawn. That's all it is. And what the wet water does is it can thin out the gesso so that it applies nice and flat and give you still good coverage without diluting it. It had a bubble in it, but that's from the soap. But it definitely does a better job. I should have, here, let me do it on this side.
Put it on the closer,
This one, okay. Okay,
So the Dawn is just breaking the surface tension?
that's correct. See how it just lays out there? And what usually happens with the regular water is that
Surface tension.
it has too much surface tension.
Beats up.
So it, see how it beats and it stays there? You can see it's sticking up about I don't know, 1/16 of an inch or something like that. So that's the reason we use the wet water. So what I do is I use these really expensive pallets. These come from Costco. If you buy the coffee, you get this free. And so I spray with this wet water in one section of the pallet, and then I mix the paint here, and I pull the wet water into the paint as needed because it's drying out as you're painting. So you just try to get a good coverage. As you can see here, I finished this one first because I'm not a great painter. I didn't, if I have a brush stroke, if I sneeze or the dog pushes me or something like that, I could end up hitting the part that I don't want to hit with the paint. This allows me to wipe it off. And I do that on the inside and the outside. So you can see this one's finished on the inside and on the outside. If I did get a brush stroke on the inside, I can wipe that right out because it's finished. So we're going to apply the chameleon flakes to this, and then we'll put the texture on the back. So that's going to be our next step. The tools that I use, my tools are usually pretty sharp. For turning, I've had this, I bought this from Don Geiger. I don't know, Don, when did he come out with the gouge? When he first came out, the first one, that's what this was. A million years ago. It was a long time ago. So most of the loss happened at John C. Campbell because we had really terrible wood with a lot of sand and stuff in the wood, and we were constantly sharpening. But I run my grinder, I have a tradesman grinder, I run it super slow, I use a 320 grit, and this sharpens up incredible. This is a brand new one, this has never been sharpened, this is the way it comes from the factory. That's all I've lost in 10 years, which is amazing. So I'm not a great customer, but because I'm not buying these like razor blades, but with careful sharpening, you can get a lot of life and a lot of bolts. I can tell you for sure this has turned probably over 1,000 bolts with it, and that's it. Because I'm not spending a lot of time doing it. I just touch it up, and if you sit there, and I watched a guy at our shop at the Villages, he took 3/8 of an inch off, he's no sharper. You know, you just sat there and grinding, there's no reason for it. If you have a proper sharpening system, and I'll pass this around, it's super sharp, so please be careful. If not, where's the Band-Aids? So we can find out what type of blood you have, that sort of thing. Okay, all right, so let's see, what else we want to do. Do you want to see how to do the texture first, or the what would you guys prefer? Do you want the texture? Okay. So for texture, what I use is a rotary tool, and the rotary tool. This is offered by Ken Rizza who owns Woodturners Wonders. He started a new company, and it's called Power Carving Depot. And Power Carving Depot offers a dual head. Can we bring that in on this? A dual head system. So this does your 16th and 3/32, and this Mac Daddy will do up to a 1/4 inch shaft, which is the real big cut-saw cutters, which are great. Both of these have a cup burr. I'm going to pass around the bigger one, I think, because you can see, unless I can, never mind.
If you go through our club website, you get free shipping.
Yeah, on these stuff from Ken Rizzo, what he told us at the village is he will give us a special price for our club, and he was willing to work with us on it. And I'll talk to you guys about that. I can talk to you, Jack, afterwards.
We already discussed it.
No, I think better.
He offered us the same thing,
Okay.
so they should be aware of it. Went out in an email.
Okay. Okay, well, if I could get that back, so you can see the shiny area. So that is where I've held it with a pin vise up against the grinding wheel. And the angle is not critical. You just have to expose that little bit of the end of the teeth, and that will keep it from skating all over your piece. So I'm not going to do the entire piece, but I'm going to do part of it to show you guys how to do it. So when you do work with the tool, there's a couple things. One is, this is a 7mm glove compared to the normal exam gloves, I guess. I use this for a couple different reasons. One is, everybody's been to the dentist and had a tooth filled, right? So the dentist is not drilling out here. He's got his finger on your jaw, doesn't he? He's using that as a stability piece. And this is the same, so you're using that finger. But your finger will be right in the smoke area. So what happens is your fingers will turn yellow, and you look like a 12-pack-a-day smoker. And don't ask me how I know that. A friend told me. Actually, no, it happened to me. So, but I found out that just wearing this glove, you're not really getting burned, or it's not hot or anything like that, but it keeps the fingers from turning yellow. So I will use the 2 sizes of cup burrs, and I don't know if you guys can see this where I am. Are you able to see this? The beauty of this machine is it has a quick change piece. So you need a pair of hemostats, and the reason being is because this gets really hot, which you'll see. And you need to be able to take it out and change between one size to the next. And that's it. That's all you have to do to lock it in. And then I have, a lot of people don't use this, but I do. Just got a little bit of angle. So, yep. You know why it didn't work? Because this power switch wasn't turned on. Okay. Can you hear that? That's it. Not much to it. So what I want to do is I want to be between the lines, and you can see the lines that I put on this. I also did not put finish between those lines. And the reason I didn't put finish between those lines is because as you burn this, you could, depending on the finish you use, you could produce toxic fumes. So I didn't do that. So I'm using my stabilization, so I have my thumb and my finger, and you'll hear it. So, so you hear that at the end? That means I've got a cup on the top. I know it's kind of smoky. You can hear it, and that's when you know when. Is that going to be okay, smoky wise? So I'm going to show you one that's not done properly. Okay, now this one is not done properly. And I don't know if you can see that. And the reason it's not done properly is because I didn't go deep enough. And by not going deep enough, I have a flat end to it, which I don't want. But I can easily go back and make that a round end. So what I usually do at home is I have a fan that pulls the smoke away from me. And then what I'll do is change this, and that's actually going to be hot. I'm going to put it here and put in the smaller one. And the design is completely up to you. And it doesn't have to be a cup. It could be a detent from a bowl. That's up to you. I don't know if you guys can see any of this or not.
Steve, is there any way you can do one without with just not holding it on your left hand on the other direction?
No, and I'll tell you the reason why, because I can't hold it steady.
Okay.
And then, so this is an Amazon item, you get 3 of them for $10. And it's a natural edge brush. But you can see this it really comes out nice, and it doesn't take a tremendous amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
So I get a nice deep texture, and from there I can paint this or do whatever I wish. And then I can go back and touch up that dark line, but it takes no time at all. But the reason I can't do that is because this machine is rotating at 46,000 RPM. So one little slip and it doesn't look very good. So that's why I need both stability pieces.
So if you put it over there on the lathe bed, would that
The power cord won't reach.
it won't reach?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking.
But you can see that, I don't know, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, it really came out great and it took no time at all, okay? So that's one thing. Okay, so next we're going to look at, I'm going to just turn this off. And I can do the same thing with a ball cutter. So what I recommend is using the finer ball cutters. Can you see this? This is a...
Probably not.
It's made by Cutsall, and they come in different sizes. They're very high quality. They last a long time. You do have to clean them. So these are things you can clean with oven cleaner, ultrasonic cleaners, things like that. But it's pretty easily done. Oops, shouldn't put that there. Okay, so now we're going to do the so this is cooled down enough. What I recommend that you do, and I don't know if we can switch to the overhead, is build a test board. So you can do a couple different things. If you build a few test boards, you can see what texture is going to look right on your piece. You can paint these. I will tell you that if you paint it black and then you paint some of the colors over it, it's going to change the way it looks. If you paint just over the wood, it's going to be a different color. So you really have to play around with it. I mean, this takes no time at all to do this with a rotary tool. You use a couple different tools. You use a round burr for this. You use a what's called a stump grinder for this block. Then you can do cobblestone. You can do some simple, like a wave type thing. This is just the round burr just popped in and moved. So the goal with a lot of these is to have no flat spots. That's generally so that if you put a paint on it, you have nowhere for the paint to shine. So normally what I would do in a case like this and some of the other pieces I've made is some of the flat spots I would go back through with a pyrography burner, or I'd use one of the NSK Prestos and just go through and get rid of those flat spots. But these little test boards are great to have because you can have a great visual for what you want your piece to look like. Okay? All right, so here's the chameleon flakes, and what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you where to get them and what you can do with them. So the process for chameleon flakes is exactly the same as metal leaf or gold leaf. It's exactly the same. So if you wanted to make something where you're applying these things, this came from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or one of the two. This is the Emma Cook. She's the Tiny Turner. She's out of the UK. She sells these through Walnut Log. I have a sheet here that I'm going to leave with you guys, and it lists the sources and websites for everything if you wish to order them. This is a Baltic Chameleon Flakes. This is one of the more popular brands on Amazon. This is the best one I found, by far. This is an Amazon product. I think it cost me $18. This was about $35 or $40. So the $18 one is the best one that I found. This one I felt was okay, but it's a little chintzy. You don't get a lot for your money. So we'll use this one, and we'll show you how to put it down. So, one of the things that I never thought I would ever do, because I'm not really an artist, is I spent a little bit of money to get some nice brushes. And I bought the brushes at a place called Blick Art Supply, and they're expensive. You know, to think that I paid, you know, $15 or $20 for this little brush, you know, I thought I was smoking crack or something. But I felt it was expensive, but it's a really super high quality brush, and it really helps get the job done. When you put down the what's called sizing, it's an acrylic-based sizing compound. You need it to be flat. If you have a brush stroke in there, am I doing something wrong? Okay, okay. So if you get a brush stroke in there, or you have too much material, that's going to show up with the flakes, because the flakes are microscopically thin. They're super, super thin. So we're going to show you how to apply that, and we're going to go for it here. Okay, this sizing material can be metal leaf adhesive. You can buy this at...
Put that under the overhead.
Yep. I'm not going to probably use this one. So, and that came from Hobby Lobby, because the sticker's still on it. Probably tell you, this was a whopping $4.99. You want an acrylic base one, and so you can thin it out, because it does thicken up over time. So I'm going to use this one, and then we'll apply it to this particular one. Okay. So can you guys see here? Not yet?
Getting there.
Okay. So this is pretty thin. You got a little bit of a hole here, and I've got my my fancy brush. And what I don't want is to end up with something like that. So there's a couple of reasons why you need to move quickly. One is gesso is water-based, and the sizing is water-based. So what I want to do is see those white lines. I want those to go away. And this is, think of it like a rubber cement almost. But if I continue to work it into this gesso, what will happen is I'll start to get a black spot on my brush, which I don't want. In every place that this sizing goes is where the chameleon flakes will stick. If there's no material, it won't stick. But see, this is bad install. I need to thin it out. This is why I picked a small one to do. I know everybody likes watching paint dry, but this actually dries really quick. And we'll show you how to fix it. And but you can see I'm just really making sure that I don't have any streaks or buildup, because that will definitely show through. So I move it to another area here. I'm getting better at this whole talking thing, huh? I'm able to do it without making too much of a mess. Okay. So the fancy brush makes it worthwhile, I think, when you get to something like this. If you have any cracks in your wood, Not that I've ever had wood with cracks, but I think some of you may have. What I do is, and that's done. That's all there is to it, except for the one spot I missed, which is I can hold it up to the light at different angles and see what I've missed. And if I've missed the spot, the chameleon placer, I'm going to stick to it. That's it. Okay, that's done. So what I try to do is to use a good brush cleaner, and this is by Joe Sonia again. They're an excellent company, so just to keep those expensive brushes from having problems, and I'll just put this in here, and hopefully I won't knock that over. That's it. Okay, so that's all there is to it for attaching that. Then you need a floppy brush, and with this floppy brush, you're using pretty much the static electricity to pick up those flakes. So we're going to pick a color. So this one has the red rim, so I think we want something similar to that. So they don't give you a lot. How about purple and pink? That will go with red, right? We don't have a color wheel, but
Jason?
Jason is the living color wheel.
What?
Jason,
Which color should he be using?
With what color?
Red.
What are we matching? The red?
Yep.
The red band?
yeah.
What are your color choices?
The color choices are, now keep in mind that it's chameleon, so depending on the angle, it's either purple or pink. No? We also have brown and yellow. Ooh. No?
Nice. Yeah.
We have gold and olive. We have lime and blue.
I would say blue.
I have hot pink and chartreuse. Boy, that's the color.
I would do the hot pink and chartreuse.
Are you serious? You want that? Okay, that's fine. I defer to experts. So,
And you can mix a little of that purple in there too. I'd do the purple first,
okay.
that darker purple one you said, and then,
The purple and pink?
yeah, purple and pink, and then a
Okay.
little hot pink and chartreuse. Less, like 2 to 3 ratio.
Okay, so this is pretty much dry. And I'm going to stick with the advice of the experts. And
Keep in mind, I can't see anything from there. I'm really winging it.
well, I'm winging it too. So
Are the flakes clear?
the flakes are not clear, but they look clear in the jar. So once they're applied to a black background, they start to work as chameleon flakes. And if you do get too much in one area, you can brush it a little bit, like I got a little bit too much there, and I want to go back with those purple ones. But you just go around a little bit like this. There's really no rhyme or reason to anything here. If you make a mistake, you can just try to brush it to another area if you can.
Last call.
And I'm
I was
going to
looking
fill.
for glasses.
There are none.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
I'm going to then go to the purple one. I'll mix that. Too much. Too much.
Are you going dry to wet? Is that how you're adding it on?
The only thing that's wet is the sizing.
Yeah, so dry to sticky.
Dry to sticky,
Dry to
correct.
sticky.
Okay.
And the brush is static electricity. Is that?
Yeah, that's basically how it's held in place. Okay, so then we go to the other one, which is purple and pink. And again, this is a case where less is more. So I got a couple areas here that I don't like, but it is what it is. So you kind of, I made a mistake and that's it. The purple and pink, we'll see what that looks like. Actually, it looks almost the same. No, it looks different when it's attached. Yeah, it definitely looks different.
So does this become permanent on your floor?
No. No, that's what the vacuum is for. It will pick up with the vacuum. So, we're almost done. It actually looks pretty good with the dual colors.
Good job, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, so there's not a real serious way to do this. You just kind of have to randomly apply it. You don't do much, go back. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for. Okay, that's it. That's the two colors all together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to brush it out and we're going to fix it in place. So I'll brush it out. So I get some extra here. I can apply on the outside here.
Will you turn it the other way?
Turn it, yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And when I fix it, what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that I get all of this out of the bottom, because if I don't, it's going to be there forever. So I brush over the top, which pulls any pieces that are high out of the way, moves any loose, flaky pieces. I'll do the edge and brush it out one more time, and that's what we got. Okay. So.
Put it on the overhead thing?
Yep. So. Now, if I rotate it and change it, you can see some of those colors start to change. Can you guys see that now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, see how it's turning green and all these different colors? Which are kind of cool. So as you change that angle, the light travels differently through that flake, and that's what gives you the colors. Okay. So this is still tacky. Actually, some people may think it's tacky when it's solid because it's that's another story. So what I'm going to do is now fix these in place permanently and get rid of the tackiness so that I can then quickly put the bead on here and we'll call it done. Now, I assume it's okay to just give this a spritz with lacquer?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not going to get any on the floor or anything like that, because I'm not using much of it. I'm just using enough on here to just cover the top. So this is Chroma Craft acrylic lacquer. It's one of the better ones and it's priced reasonable. It's like $10 a can. You can get acrylic lacquer from a lot of different sources. Some better than others. This one works pretty well. I've gone through a couple cans of this and I like it. What I like about it is it dries super quick. So this is another case where less is more. That's it. We're done. Now that will take
Did you get it inside the bowl or not?
a little bit of overspray inside the bowl, but the bowl was already finished, so it really wasn't making a big difference.
Okay.
Okay. So we're letting this dry, and then we're going to do the leather bead. So I think, and I'll refer to this gentleman, a red leather bead or a black leather bead?
Black.
Black? Okay. Okay. Cool. You guys are so helpful. I mean,
They were boss.
I'm just an engineer, man. I can get stuff working, but getting it to look nice, that's kind of not what I do. Okay, so what I have here is I'm going to take it to the camera in a second. Is I have
Steve, what do you use for a finish on the bowl?
that's it. Oh, what I've been using lately is there's a company called Old Masters Finishing, and they have several different water-based products that are excellent. I think they call them Masters Armor, and they come in different levels. So they even do an ultra flat if you want to put a finish over like milk paint, for example. They make a satin, they make a semi-gloss, they make a gloss, they make 5 different levels of product. They have an interior product, an exterior product. One of the cool products that they have is you can add a hardener. So if you take their product and you add the hardener, it's good for 30 days. It's for like a bar where you have your sliding mugs of beer, or it was originally designed for flooring in high traffic areas. After 30 days, it reverts back to the standard product. So when you put it down with the hardener, it's super, super hard. It's great in it, but after a while, it reverts back. And you can't put the hardener in a second time. This is about $8 from Amazon. You get a whole spool of it. It'll last you a long time. This is also about the same price. It's a company called Lolly Beads, and they sell on Amazon. So what I found is that you need a really good craft knife. So what I do with this is I sharpen this so that they come sharp. The X-Acto knives are pretty sharp, but this is razor sharp. Everything I own is sharp. And I don't know that you can see, but you can see the edge I put on there with a little bit of a shine. I mean, it's really super sharp. So I actually made this.
Just hold it right over the red spool.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
So you can see the final edge on this. So it's really super sharp. So I actually made this. So I took one of those cheap craft things and took it apart and bought an 8mm tube and turned this and came up with my own little craft knife. But everything I own is sharp. So, okay. So the first step is you want to cut the leather at an angle. And then when you go all the way around your bowl, you want a reciprocal that will blend. You don't want to have a blunt angle. But I'm just going to do that. So this will go up when I apply the adhesive, and then I will blend to this and cut at that same angle. Okay? Alrighty. So I'm thinking that this should be pretty close to dry, because it dries pretty quickly. And how many of you are fly fishermen? Anybody fly fishermen? No? Okay. Well.
Or woodworkers.
Okay. Well, if this were a fly fishing thing, this would be called a bodkin, and it's used for applying adhesives and tying flies and things like that, but it's also, sadly, used in cake decorating. So this was available from Hobby Lobby for a fraction of what you pay in a fly fishing store, and if you go to the cake decorating section. And it's just basically a fine needle, and I use that to apply the adhesive in that groove. Remember the groove I put on the outside? That's where we're going to put this, so it stays in place. We're going to use 2 different types of adhesive. So one type of adhesive is just a regular fabric cement, which would be this one. And it's a simple fabric cement. This was $9.99 at Hobby Lobby as well. And I just put that at the beginning and the end because it has a very high tack to it, and I want that to keep it in place, because otherwise I've got to put a clamp on it, and it's a nightmare. I just use a little bit of this. I only put this in about 1 inch. If you put it all the way around, what happens is it gets a little bit messy and it's hard to clean up. The rest of it I do with a small, this is a company called Barely Art, and they make a great product that has a replaceable nozzle, and I can squeeze it out into that groove a lot easier. So this will be what we use.
Can you please show us for the
So this has a very, very small hole here, and you actually need a needle to go through it, which they give you actually, which is kind of cool. So I take off this protective cap, store that here, hopefully I won't lose it. It's possible.
Steve, we got 15 minutes.
Okay, I'll have this done. Okay, so I think, and this is completely dry. So that was that quick. So the first step that I'll do, and this is gonna go pretty quick, so I'm going to put 1 inch of the fabric cement. So the fabric cement is a little bit challenging to deal with, but you can see it coming out of here, and this is the reason why we're careful with how much of this we use, because you can see the long strings. And I'm going to put this about 1 inch in place here. And that'll be my start area. If I can find it, here it is.
Steve, is it advisable to put a mark for your starting point so that you don't lose it?
Yeah, but I forgot my pen. Or it would be, because it's clear.
Right,
But
you're not gonna see it, that's what I'm
gave me a
saying.
pencil, but at any rate, I can see it as well.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see it here, I think. Yeah. Okay. I think that's, well, now I lost it. See, this is, should be right here. Spent all that time to put it there, now I can't find it. Here it is. Yep. Right here. It's not, I think the pencil is a great idea. So I'm going to put a little bit more and start again. I'm going to mark it this time. And that way I know which way I'm going. This has a little bit of a smell to it, so and again with this, less is more, so we don't want to put a ton of it. But I think the pencil idea is the winner. Okay, so that's that, and then we put the lid back on here because it kind of stinks. And the rest of this, I'm going to put this on. And if you miss a spot, don't worry about it. See how easy this is to put on with the little dispenser thing? But this adhesive does not have a super strong tack to it. So that's why I use the other at the beginning and the end. And it doesn't have to be, if you forget a spot, it's not a big deal. Okay, so with this, we have the spot that we clearly marked with the pencil, thanks to you guys. I'm going to slide down from that spot a little bit. I'm getting a little stuff here. Didn't take any paper towel, which I normally do. That's that. Okay. Then I get my little knife.
You just overlap it and cut it so that it's...
Yep. And then just hold it in place. And I'm going to wipe off any excess. And this dries clear. So the one thing you want to do is kind of pull it tight. And then you can see the angle and just cut at that same angle. Okay, now that's going to take just a minute to dry. That's it. I don't want to get any extra. That's it. So we finished this in record time. How's that?
Yep.
So, that's it. We can, I guess we could pass it around. I don't know if we hold it by the bottom and not by the leather. It probably will hold up just fine.
Now, is this a bowl for aesthetics, or is this a bowl you can put like food in or something?
Well, from what I understand, the people that offer the finishing material, the old masters, technically it's probably food safe, but they're not willing to tell you that it's food safe. If you need it for a food type application, you may want to choose a different finish. They believe it really is good, but the lawyers tell them it's not. So, yeah.
Lawyers win.
Yeah.
Lawyers always win.
Yeah. So, I'm going to leave with you guys a summary of the steps that I took to make this. And you can post that on your website. If you have any questions, Rita knows how to get a hold of me, Jack knows how to get a hold of me. I'm always available for questions. I'm retired, retired, same thing, I guess. But I'm available. And I was kind of voluntold to be the head of the turning group at the villages. So we have 2 club locations, and we have over 1,600 members at the villages. So we have a big turning group, and we are an AAW chapter. So what does that mean? It means you guys are free to come to our meetings if you choose to. And if we have a speaker or something like that, you're free to be a guest at our meetings. And I would invite you to come. Well, yes, sir.
Are the burrs that you use diamond or the silicon carbide or?
They're actually not. They are carbide. I believe they're made by Cutsall, and they're fairly aggressive burrs. So they look like one of those things that you plant in a harbor for a ship to come in and it blows up a ship. That's what it kind of looks like. It's got a lot of aggressive spikes to it, and they do a really good job and super fast. And what you don't want to do is hit your hand with one of those because it will turn your fingers into hamburger. It really will very, very quickly. But I do like the new Big Blue. I had an NSK system, not the Presto, a different one, a powered one like this, and it just didn't have the power with cup burrs. With cup burrs, they use a lot of power to turn them around. The bigger the burr, the more difficult it is to turn. Okay, thank you guys for your time.